Here we go. Welcome to part 6, hopefully, of only 6. Hopefully this will be the last part. 3D, Avengers Endgame, Avengers 4, Avengers Endgame thoughts. And once again, if this is the first part you're watching, this has a ton of spoilers for the ending of the movie. So if you haven't watched the movie yet, stop watching right now unless you want huge things spoiled. So, yes, this is let's see, I watched the movie Wednesday. I recorded about it Wednesday and Thursday. Didn't record yesterday. And recording again today, Saturday. So, yeah, this is the first time something like this has even happened, that I've had so many anyway. And yes, I realized that these videos I've done on this one movie are already obscenely long. I guess almost twice as long as the movie itself by now. I think the last number I saw was like 5 hours and 47 minutes. You know, if that's more than you want to watch, I don't blame you. I want to say every single thing I have to say about a movie in the videos I do. Let me just really quickly say that I love that so many major MCU heroes all got to play keep away with the Gauntlet and Thanos. I don't think I really highlighted just how they did that really well. I just watched the Folding Ideas video on the movie, and he points out that I think he said the last hour of the movie is fan service, and yeah, and I absolutely loved it. Excuse me. Now, I want to talk about the major characters. I want to talk about every main Avengers member in this and their journey in this movie, except for the ones I already did talk about, where I said everything I have to say, like Thor. And I also won't be talking about Nebula. I feel like I said everything that I have to say about Nebula in the other videos. I mean, Rocket is there in a lot of the movie, but there's not really growth, is there? He's fun. I didn't mind that he was there so much. Same for Rhodey. I liked having him there, but I didn't ultimately see a lot, like, it's especially a movie about the main Avengers team, which I do think is the right way to. Now, all I have left to say about Professor Hulk is to note that the main conflict between the two alter egos, or identities, is it one of those things where you can't say more than one alter ego because there's only the one? I don't. Anyway, has been resolved by becoming Professor Hulk. Each time we've seen Hulk up to this particular movie, there has been at least some conflict between the two. Some of them not as much, but there's always been at least some. Incredible Hulk, Banner tries to get rid of Hulk. The first two Avengers movies, he has a level of control over Hulk, but also sometimes loses control. And to be fair, in the second movie, the only reason he loses control is Scarlet Witch. And so I'm not putting that on him. I'm just saying there was conflict there. In Thor Ragnarok, the Hulk takes over for 2 years, and Banner worries that if he turns again, he will never be able to resurface himself. In Infinity War, for the vast majority, Hulk completely refuses to surface, and let's see. My reading was that he was terrified. For the first time, the Hulk had been beat, and that scared him because he had defined himself as someone who couldn't be beat, and I read that apparently it was because he was fed up with Banner treating him like a tool. I guess I could see that. I just don't see I don't see it anywhere in the movie, but I mean, these movies, there's so many different things, not everything can get screen time. Anyway, Infinity War, for the vast majority, and in this, he stopped treating Hulk like he didn't deserve at least one hand on the wheel, and with 5 years to do it, he managed to find a way to meld both identities. And clearly, this Hulk almost never loses his temper. The only time you see him do so is when he finds out that Black Widow is dead, and considering how close they were in Age of Ultron, you can understand that. There we go. And yes, I am in favor of that pairing, although I take issue with the fact that Avengers Age of Ultron is a movie that, for the vast majority of it, has only a single actual female Avenger, and they felt the need to pair her up with one of the men. That I take issue with. Other than that, I don't. I don't understand people who say that, oh, but Black Widow and Captain America, they were kind of getting together in Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier. They really weren't. They were developing more mutual respect. Before they I'm not sure I would say they necessarily particularly liked each other. They tolerated each other because they had to work together. But when you really look at the way, like, at the start of the movie, they do not trust each other at all. Like, actually, when you've watched the entire movie, you maybe don't think so much about it, but the first time that Cap, he sees that, someone took the USB key, and he sees her with the bubble gum. That's how she got it. She kept buying bubble gum until she's like, yeah, I got it. He like grabs her and pushes her up against the wall, and he's like, "What did you do?" He does not trust her at all. He thinks that she might be one of the people that Fury said not to trust just anyone. He's like, I didn't trust her to begin with, But over the course of the movie, they grow to like and respect each other. But that's it. I really don't see how you can... Seriously, watch the movie again. They are not getting together as a couple. She eventually stops trying to pair him up with other women, but that's it. They are not becoming a couple in that movie. It's that thing like when Harry met Sally. Yeah, but they're gonna bang eventually, right? They're straight. They spend time together. One of them's male, the other one's female. I do not grok how they don't end up together. Anyway, right. So, moving on to Black Widow. The first time she talks about Hawkeye at all is in the Avengers. I'm not saying there was room for her to talk about Hawkeye in Iron Man 2. She says she has a debt to pay back. Once, Hawkeye chose to pull a dangerous, violent individual back from the edge. He did that for her. And now she was able to do that for him. And I'll grant that she hadn't been sent to kill him in this movie, although I'm not sure that if she came back and told Rhodey I had to kill him, I don't think she would get any blame whatsoever. Rhodey didn't say, go and kill him. Yeah, I think he said, are you sure you want to find him? Now, let's see. Yeah, so it's not a complete one-to-one. And she also knows him well enough to know for sure he will be able to become a healthy family man again. Of course she wouldn't send him back to his innocent family if she had all thought there was any chance whatsoever that he might hurt them. Can you even imagine that? There's no way that they would be able to even put up a fight. I guess if Lila was already ready to fire and she mentally got past the block that's dad. I don't want to shoot my own father. I guess maybe, but no, very likely he would be able to, brutalize, maybe even kill them if that was what, if all it took was like a little push before he... So Black Widow is certain that that's not going to happen because she knows him. Now, let's see... Now, to go into... Yeah, still on Avengers 1. Clearly some of what she said to Loki was lying, but some of it seems to have been true. And as Loki points out, you're a world in the balance and you bargain for one man. She feels she owes him more than she owes anything to anyone else, including S.H.I.E.L.D., who... it's one thing that Hawkeye brought her back and said, nope, I'm not going to kill her. S.H.I.E.L.D. actually hired her. They trust her with a lot, and she's like... And then, at the same time, I don't know if it's still, but earlier we saw that everything Loki said in the cell could be heard in that one room of the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier where all the Avengers were. So it's entirely possible that, Fury's listening in, and, if he thought that he would... Anyway, still... That's how she approaches it. She doesn't say, do you really want to hurt your brother? She says, there's one person who means this much to me, Now, let's see. Let me just real quick check if that was something important. Okie dokie. And there we go. So, yes, and in Age of Ultron she gets a lot of character moments, and I'm only going to go over the ones that relate specifically to her, yeah. At the end of flirting with Bruce at the end of the bar, she confirms to him, no, you didn't do anything wrong to me. But never say never. She expects to be hurt by others. If she didn't die as, relatively young, if she did live to old age and always expected others to hurt her, that would make for a very lonely life. And and let's see. Now, Agent Maria Hill also does not try to lift Thor's hammer, but Black Widow is the only person there who openly says no to trying. That's not a question I need answered. She knows that she is not worthy, and at the end of the movie, she agrees with Cap that if they can't save the people of Sokovia, they themselves shouldn't survive the fight. She was never planning on a long career with retirement at the end. And she was looking for ways to wipe the red off her ledger, and when she makes the decision that she might never be able to, maybe it's in Civil War when she's confronted with the damage done when the Avengers fight bad guys. Certainly she doesn't take very long to decide that she should sacrifice herself rather than Hawkeye should on Vormir. So it's possible that she only made the decision once she was on Vormir, but I think a case could be made that she was just waiting for the time that she could sacrifice herself for Hawkeye. Now, Hawkeye himself, he refuses to let Black Widow sacrifice herself, but is unable to stop her. He thought he would not be able to be a good father and husband after becoming Ronin, but she knew better. He needed her to prove to him one more time he can be pulled back from that. She can pull him back from that. She did it in the first Avengers, where it was mind control. And let's see. Right. On to Captain America. In Age of Ultron, he says that he's comfortable with not getting the family life that he that he wanted before he went into the ice. He says, the guy who wanted that went into the ice 70 years ago. I think somebody else came out. But now he's spent 5 years having lost even more people, including a lot of people that he didn't have a personal relationship with, but that he didn't want those people to suffer. And, even disappear. So when he has the chance to spend a lifetime with Peggy, he takes it, and he knows Sam will make a great new Captain America. And thinking about it, I guess the reason he doesn't make Bucky the new Captain America is that Bucky is tired of war, as Black Panther put in Infinity War. But then I just, which I don't get the sense that Sam is, but I just watched the Nerdist video on like the future of the MCU, and they point out that I think I didn't know that. Yeah, I forgot. There is the Disney Plus service, I think. There's a show coming up, miniseries, whatever, with Sam and Bucky. So that's what that's going to be. I hadn't thought about it when I took these notes, but thinking about it, part of Cap deciding to be with Peggy was when they went back to the 1970s and he saw her, like they were very close to each other, although she didn't realize that he was there. Yeah, that was probably what really pushed it over the edge, that because he brings it up, I already talked about that in one of these videos, but just briefly, earlier in the film when, the support group, he says, it's difficult to move on, but I had to move on from Peggy. And then, when he goes to the 1970s, maybe he's not completely moved on from Peggy, or maybe he shouldn't be. Now, I do wonder, when exactly did he become worthy of Mjolnir? Because he wasn't at the start of Age of Ultron. not sure he did anything over the course of that movie that would make him worthy, other than maybe trusting Vision. Does that mean that Mjolnir is Team Cap? And moving on, finally Iron Man. Having finally been able to completely stop Thanos, he is essentially ready to die. Compare his death to Peter Parker's dusting. Again, Peter very understandably was not ready to go, but Tony doesn't really put up a fight. We've seen him in situations where he almost died. Look at the way look at the determination in the first movie when the arc reactor, when it's removed from his chest. The moment that he's no longer paralyzed, he starts moving, and part of it is that's the only way to protect Pepper. He knows that, Ironmonger, he even said it. It's a shame you had to bring Pepper into this, so, yeah. Now, but yeah, Tony doesn't put up a fight, and he knew that using the gauntlet might well kill him. That was discussed. The Hulk can survive it, maybe Thor can, but a regular person cannot. And, Pepper reassures him that it's okay for him to go. He saved everyone. It's safe. He can. It's okay for him because he is. Yeah, I did mention that in one of the other videos, but he is not a person that's good at letting things go or calming down, because losing a parent one or more parents at a really young age makes it difficult. Again, I know from personal experience, because you feel like if you ever let go, then you're going to lose something equally, or maybe you felt that it's your fault that one of your parents died, one or more, that it was because you let go, that it was because you weren't holding on tightly enough to the, yeah. I feel like I kept almost saying the following, but then didn't get around to in the other videos. Apologies if I did say all of this before, but anyway, me pointing out that this is, at least in my opinion, the best movie ever made. And again, it's Saturday. It's 11:30 Saturday. When I watched it, let's see. By the time the credits rolled, it was 1 o'clock Wednesday. So the rest of Wednesday, all of Thursday, and all of Friday, I guess 72 hours, almost 70 hours, I guess, more or less. My opinion has not changed. I don't think less of it now than I did of it as I was watching it and right after I watched it. Anyway, yeah, me pointing out that it's, in my opinion, the best movie ever made, it feels unfair to almost every single other movie ever made, because almost no movie has had 10 years to build to an amazing finale. And I almost put, I'm going to say it, I almost voiced, I almost put it in the notes too, but I guess you could maybe compare it to a TV show, but a lot of TV shows, part of it is that they want to keep going. It's not necessarily that they want to keep going until they feel they have no more good stories to tell. They want to keep going. They want that, they want to make at least 100 episodes so they can be assured syndication, I want to say it's called. Yeah. So it's not. I've seen shows where it felt like they stopped once they felt they had told all the good stories they had to tell, but a lot of shows they keep going for as long as they can, even if they end up no longer very good shows. And I really don't feel like the MCU kept going. And again, it's not fair. They have so many decades of comic storylines to draw from. It's not fair to say they kept going as long as they had good stories to tell. Of course they have good stories to tell. There are hundreds, thousands of stories about these characters. Not all of them are equally compelling. I'm not saying that there are bad ones, but yeah, I mean, they could probably come up with at least 100 stories for each of these individual characters for the solo movies, and for the team up movies, different stories from the other ones, obviously. But but I mean, at the end of the day, maybe that just speaks to that it's an amazing. I love the MCU, and it's one of my favorite pieces of like media of anything, like up there with my favorite shows, and other favorite movies and such. And I'm not gonna go too much into that here because I don't. This video is not supposed to be super long because I already talked about these for a long time. Right. Yeah, it's. I'm really happy that they did, and they also. I'm not blind to there are things in comic books that don't translate well to live action, and they made some really great. Was it Watch Mojo or Looper or someone made a video with like top 10 best changes from the comic to the live action version, and yeah, I thought they did a very good job there. Yeah. The let's see. The Right. So, but yeah, the movie does feel somewhat like the series finale to a long running television show, and with the but it's one of the few exceptions to the rule that those are terrible. So, yeah, I guess I want to say Steve Shives once did a video that talked about why the bad the reasons that they're often bad, and I feel like he made some good points, but it's been years since I watched that video. But yeah, again, I'm not gonna get into it here. So, but yeah, yes, to almost no movie has had 10 years to build to an amazing finale. They can make all the references that they do in this movie because there are so many hours of material, and not all of those hours are equally memorable. Honestly, some of the closure delivered in this movie they may have thought of as early as much as 10, 11 years ago. Excuse me. Maybe they were always going to end Tony's story by him just barely defeating the thing he was most obsessed with having to defeat, and Pepper reassuring him that it's okay to let go. In the original Iron Man, he expresses an obsession with the mission as Iron Man, and she says she won't stay and watch him destroy himself. And as the movies progressed, their relationship, she did come to support his focus on the mission, and she always supported him in so many things, whilst trying to steer him clear of self-destructive behavior. And she felt that was one of the cases of self-destructive behavior. But yeah, she came to that's again, it's I'm not saying everything in the MCU is insightful, but there are a lot of insightful aspects to the interpersonal character relationships, because that is, yeah, early on you might look at another person and think, I cannot, what they're doing, I can't support it, even just by being in their life. I would feel like I was tacitly supporting it. I'm not going to do that. And then later, you're like, what? Go get him, Tiger, to stay on the whole comics theme. Yeah, it's and that's where they were there at the end. And yeah, I really love this movie and the MCU as a whole, and I'm incredibly relieved that this could so easily have been terrible. It could so easily have been misjudged, and I acknowledge there are going to be people who are dissatisfied, and it's a cop out to just say, well, endings never satisfy everyone. There are some incredible endings to stories, but yeah, and I haven't checked. It's possible that Rotten Tomatoes turned against it in the day and a half since I last checked or something. But yeah, it's just and I mean I'm not claiming that eventually like there will be more bad comic book. Well, sorry, wait a second. The best comic book movies that come out will no longer be quite good enough to keep people interested. in comic book movies. I was almost about of the comic book movies coming out would be bad, but I think there have been times. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not gonna delve into that, but just the DCU. I wanted it to succeed right from the start, and I'm really glad that Wonder Woman and onwards. Really, the only mistake they've made since Wonder Woman was Justice League, and now we've had Aquaman and Shazam, and yeah, it looks like as long as they keep having fun with these movies. Nobody wants Superman and Batman in a movie and then not have any fun. But again, gone into that, and now I'm sitting and prolonging. I don't want to come up with something in 5 minutes and be like, no, I said it was going to be the last video. I do think I've said everything. I'm really looking forward to the MCU stuff still coming up, and I do think it was a good idea to kind of close off. Like, we are getting a Black Panther sequel, but maybe Bucky and Cap will only be vaguely referenced in that one, rather than Bucky got a post-credit scene dedicated to it from in the Black Panther movie, and the relationship between them, between Cap and Bucky together and Black Panther was a pretty major aspect of Civil War. They very much start out on one end of the spectrum and end up at the complete other end of the spectrum. I guess, yeah, that's got to be it. So again, I really love this movie, and I can't say enough good things about it, which is why I keep talking about it. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed watching, as I enjoyed watching and recording, and